We can't stop the end of the world. A good subtitle, I suppose, would be, and many people will be too stupid to even know it's happening. They'll miss all the signs. In fact, they may label our pending destruction somewhere down the road, and I would not pretend for a minute to know how long we have left. They will label that destruction as progress. The birth of the progressive movement leading to a much more equitable society. It's all about equity, not about earning success in life, but it's about handouts, free stuff, equity. It's not about character or even about the kind of behavior that you exhibit. It's not about whether you love your brother or your sister. It's about forcing a selfish agenda where God is expelled from the classroom. He is expelled from the country. And people seek power not to serve the people who perhaps voted to get them elected, but they seek power so they can do their own thing, make themselves very, very rich, and promote evil. Evil. Can we still say that word? Is that still a viable word? Is there such a thing as bad and good, good and evil? Is that still permissible vocabulary? We've become so open-minded that our brains have leaked out, right? And one of my loyal viewers here at the Virtual Church of the Disillusioned, Wally Wombat, suggested I do some videos on this because he realizes, like many do, that the America, that the world is in serious decline. We're losing our country. Foreign entities, China, Russia, Saudi Arabia, and other countries are seeking to overwhelm America and the UK, and certainly smaller countries like Taiwan. And while he sees that there's a lot of evildoers that are calling themselves leaders in America. And I agree with you, Wally. My point was, first of all, I'm a small fish in that pond. When I speak about Bob Joyce, I get a nice amount of hits. But when I speak about world issues or political issues here in America, where I speak to you from in the wonderful state of New York. It used to be wonderful, but it got ruined by very evil people. There's some great people here, of course, some great people here. I'm not going to get the attention. That's for people like Tucker Carlson, Sean Hannity, Jesse Waters, Laura Ingraham, and brilliant people like Candace Owens. And that's just the tip of the iceberg, of great speakers that have a real insight to the time we live in. Tulsi Gabbard, the former congresswoman from Hawaii, who is now expanding her voice as a podcast, for example. These people have a big platform, and they're doing their best. But no matter what, you cannot stop evil. Nowhere in the good book does it say we are going to, if we do this, if we do X, Y, Z, we're going to be able to change what is predicted to happen to not only America, but to the whole world. A world that spits in the face of God and gets the kind of leadership that they deserve. Just tonight, I watched the runoff election between Raphael Warnock and Herschel Walker in the great state of Georgia. A very confusing state, the state of Georgia. Now, in my opinion, one of the candidates is a devil, is a deceptive devil. Someone whose ex-wife would call him a deceptive devil and capable of really bad behavior. Someone who claims to love Jesus, yet lifts up Islam. Someone who believes in killing a fully formed 9-month old baby in the womb to the very moment of birth. And yet, in the state of Georgia, this guy squeaked by tonight. The other man, Herschel Walker, looks to me to be a man who has been on the potter's wheel with God, done some dumb things in his life too, hasn't won the respect of his son, his family, but he's someone that has grown and improved and is sincere, I believe, in his Christian faith. You know, I can't look at his heart. Evil is easy to spot, but when someone is, professing faith, only God can look at the heart. When somebody expounds on things that are contrary to the Scripture, we can point them out as a wolf in sheep's clothing. So once again tonight, we had an opportunity. I don't want this to be all about politics, but it is just so obvious that politics is playing a role in the decline of America. In the November elections, we had a chance here in New York to vote in a man, Lee Zeldin, that would have begun to change the course of the Empire State. Every day, you just have to watch the 11 o'clock news, and I usually don't. But when I do, I see a parade of violent crimes. And here was Kathy Hochul admonishing Lee Zeldin because he pointed out the crime in New York. Well, it's worse than ever. And we have a DA who, instead of addressing that crime and holding the criminals to account, of course, went after Donald Trump's organization. And there was a victory for him today. One of Donald Trump's advisors, lawyers, will be going to jail for, I think, 5 months. He, agreed to testify, so they went fairly light on him. And I don't know all the ins and outs of that. I don't. I think that if we want to see a positive change in 2024, that change would be better brought by Ron DeSantis, who is not such a polarizing figure. Now, when Donald Trump announced that he was running for president, a short time back as I do this video, he made a great speech, and he methodically explained what the presidency of Joseph Biden has meant to America, where the country was and where it is now, and how we are going further and further down into the trenches of darkness under Biden's leadership. So he did a wonderful job doing that, but he's got this fixation on 2020, and it's not helpful. It's not helpful when you say that we should suspend the Constitution to overturn the last election. That shows me that you're living in a alternate universe. You're speaking of an impossibility. You don't want to say that you are for the suspending of the Constitution when the Democratic progressives are all about getting rid of the Constitution, saying, well, that was written by old racist white men. We got to get rid of it. So it's not helpful when you are prone to revisiting the 2020 election that you make a silly statement like that. We just don't need to have a leader who doesn't carefully consider the words that come out of his mouth. What we have now is someone who is very much confused and led by other people. Their ideas are pushed on him, and we are spending ourselves into oblivion. China knows it. Russia knows it. And certainly Saudi Arabia knows it. You know all this stuff. If you're conservative, you know where we're at. You know what the price of a dozen eggs are. You know what's going on with our kids in the schools. You know that evil forces are trying to brainwash our kids into accepting immoral, outrageous behavior, that we are trying to sexualize young children. Yet, it's interesting, we're still going after the hot teacher in her 30s that had an affair with her 17-year-old senior student. We're still wanting to put her in jail for 11 years. But if someone comes dressed in drag to your classroom and starts gyrating in front of your 5-year-old, and you see young kids putting money in the G-string or jockstrap of a man wearing a wig, we're okay with that. We're okay with that. We're so stupid. We're so screwed up. We've just lost any gift of discernment. Any gift of discernment. Now, I have another viewer who says, "Oh, she wants me to be Happy Jack," and there are times when I'm more than happy to do that. But we're living in a very serious time, and what we don't need is something to distract us, to get our mind off of what we should be focused on, which is saving our country, of being a light, of shining a light. And of course, that means getting ourselves right. And it's really hard to get yourself right because we are vessels of flesh, prone to sin, prone to make bad choices. And good people do bad things. Good people do bad things. But all over the country, we have seen this battle. It's like, we had a civil war, a physical civil war, and now it looks like we're going to a place. We're going in the direction of there being two Americas. One America that stands for traditional values, that stands for faith, that stands for the children, that stands for parental rights, that stands for life and what have you. And then there's going to be this other America that is basically something out of the Rocky Horror Picture Show, something out of, I'm showing my age here, Kurt Russell in Escape from New York. New York is becoming like that Kurt Russell movie. It really is, Escape from New York. And now, just tonight, I saw at a gas station, not sure where this was. Philadelphia. Philadelphia. Not the Wawa. They don't have them yet. But at this gas station had been ransacked by kids, and there had been so much thievery and destruction and violence that they now have two very big officers there. They're a special kind of agent with high-powered rifles defending the place, and now people are feel safe going there again. Business is up, but they don't come cheap. Of course, that's an expense, so the prices are going to have to go up. But they're defending the place that was ransacked so many times. It was Candace Owens that let us know out of the $290 million that BLM raised. Most of it went into the personal coffers of the founders who bought, of course, luxury mansions and then were offended when Candace showed up at the gate and wanted to talk to the founder. How dare she do that? How dare she? But she could find that there was expenses like $200,000 for peep shows and adult clubs and what have you that they spent. And of course, alcohol, things like that were spent, from the donations that came in. And we're not supposed to notice that it was in many cities like Portland, Oregon, and of course in Chicago and many of the big urban cities, including Philadelphia, that it was often black businesses, black-owned businesses that were destroyed by BLM for an entire summer, and it still happens today. It's spotty, but it still happens today. In fact, the crime in Philadelphia isn't spotty at all. It's terrible. And yet there's another DA down there who's not doing his job, who's looking the other way, who has nothing to say about it. Do they call him Uncle Larry down there? Have I got the right guy? So, Wally Wombat and some of the others that have emailed me and some of the response I've gotten from the videos that we have done talking about important topics like this, all I can say is that we are not going to be able to change course. It's like you think you're going to change the temperature of the earth. You can make small changes, but that horse has left the barn too. But this is all in God's plan, and certainly trying to make all the cars electric, which will be a complete and utter disaster. As I speak to you here in 2022, and I spoke to the car dealership very recently, nobody seems to want those electric cars. Nobody seems to want them. They're coming in for the gas-powered cars, even though Joe Biden has so wrecked the economy that gas prices are through the roof. Today, Joe Biden was on his way to try to work out a deal. This involves computer chips, and I don't know enough about it to talk about it right now, but we would be spending billions of dollars on these chips. They spend money like a drunken sailor or a sailor that just left the meth lab, and so they have made such an inflation problem, and their method out of inflation is to destroy any chance for the little guy to make a living, even though they've taken so much of their income, the 401ks and what have you. They still want to put more regulations on the stock market to the point where it's just pointless, especially if you're a little guy, to invest in the stock market. The only crypto, as I speak to you right now, that has any viability, and this is only occasionally, and you pretty much got to be right there watching it because you got to know when to take it out, is Dogecoin, which Elon Musk has an interest in promoting. He's not the founder, but we do have the positive note of Elon Musk buying Twitter and allowing free speech. Elon Musk saying, as he reviews all the material and all the back data from Twitter, before he bought it, they were an arm of the Democratic Socialist Communist Party. That's what they became. I don't see that so much on YouTube. I see them giving a conservative voice a platform. I do see that. It's not like MSNBC, filled with people that are, I can't watch 5 minutes of it, yet I know someone who watches it all the time. And, well, they were stupid in 1972, and they're stupid in 2022. Nothing's changed. the autobiography of this one person, a good title would be, and this I think would apply to a lot of people, is Staying Stupid. Staying Stupid. No growth at all, no change. It reminds me of one of my favorite movies. If you want to go on, it's the first movie I bought, Prime Video, and it's also on Tubi now. It's called Wind Chill. It has a 2007 date for it, but I think it's something that Emily Blunt did earlier, with a young chap, Ashton, who's very good as well, and it deals with Nietzsche's theory of total recurrence. Nietzsche had the theory, the idea that all of us are destined to live the same life over and over and over again. Mathematically, I don't know how this works out, because everybody would have to hit the reset at the same time, wouldn't they? I don't know. And we all die at different times. I don't know. But it's a very compelling movie. And the fact that Emily Blunt, I'm just going to be completely honest here, is smoking hot in this movie. And in many of the movies she's done, of course. It shows them going through all this drama, but the young man knows that they're going to go through it again, and she's just catching up to that knowledge. So that you think of all the experiences you've had in life. Now, I haven't had too many horror stories in my life, but I've had some definite stupid mistakes, and I would like not to repeat them again, you know. But in Nietzsche's theory of total recurrence, you keep living the same life over and over, exactly as you did this time. And there's no God in this. God is dead in the Nietzsche world and what have you. But nevertheless, it's a very well done movie, with some nice twists and turns. If you want to see an entertaining movie this winter, Wind Chill, perfect for the winter, right? Yeah. So, Wally, what's going to happen is going to happen. We have a lot of people, the free stuff crowd, that come out to vote. They didn't used to vote, but they vote now, and they push the election in the favor of the progressive who's offering free stuff. Now, the funny thing about Georgia is that they don't have expanded Medicaid. Unlike here in New York. In fact, none of the southern states do, because they saw it as something that was linked to Obamacare, and so they wanted nothing to do with it. But I'm pro expanded Medicaid, because there are people that need health insurance. And I don't think in the United States of America we should be denying people. There are people that work low-level jobs that don't offer health insurance, or it's so expensive, their version of it. So many co-pays and what have you. And expanded Medicaid has helped a lot of people. But in places like Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Texas, and even Florida, they don't have expanded Medicaid. You have to go to Arkansas. That's the closest you'll get to Texas, closest you'll get to the South. I hope that Sarah Huckabee keeps that in place, because there are hurting people that need care. There's nothing worse than someone dying needlessly of cancer or what have you, because they couldn't afford a colonoscopy or something like that. We learned of the death of Kirstie Alley, who was not beloved with the celebrities anymore because she became a Republican. She left Scientology, she became a Republican, and people like Michael Musto said, well, I hope she finds some peace in the afterlife, because he indicated that she was such a troubled soul now. Because, she didn't support the progressives that are killing America. She didn't support the drag queens going into the to the third grade class, or at the special event, you know. Bring your kids and learn about the drag world. She didn't support a man with a penis and testicles changing in front of your eighth grade daughter in the locker room. So if she didn't support that, you know, That's why they hate Caitlyn Jenner. You know, Republicans are like, well, he's a solid Republican. So we feel we have to like Caitlyn Jenner, very likable person, Caitlyn, as Bruce was a very likable person. And I did security work in West Hollywood on the Village People movie, Can't Stop the Music. And I was standing right next to Bruce Jenner back in around 1979, 1980. Uh, I've led an interesting life in that sense. But anyway, there's just so much I've seen out in Arizona. Hobbs wouldn't debate Carrie Lake because she knew Carrie Lake was much smarter than her, and the strategy worked. The people didn't demand of Hobbs that she do that debate, because it would have been exposed. It's just like, Kamala in a debate. She quickly gets exposed as an empty suit. So the political atmosphere, the fact that people want to go after Trump for everything and anything from the time he walked down the escalator, but now the Hunter Biden laptop thing, they're finally saying, CNN and many media outlets are finally admitting that the Hunter Biden laptop is authentic, and the evidence points to the fact that Joe Biden is the big guy, and he had a relationship with the Ukraine. Hunter Biden got money from the Ukraine and China. And so, of course, we're going to be behind the Ukraine 1,000,000%, or should I say 90 billion%. All, as I mentioned this, Putin continues to bomb the hell out of the Ukraine. It's never going to be what it was, but we just keep soaking billions and billions of dollars in, and there are people, even in the Republican Party, and certainly generals like Milley, that want us to do that. We're under the illusion that now that we could win a nuclear war, it seems. We are thankful to God that he has not allowed Vladimir Putin to push the button that could destroy America. So it's all in God's hands, Wally, and those of you. I really wanted Herschel Walker to win tonight, but I quickly saw what I already knew was going to happen. I saw it play out, because that's the kind of America that we live in. Let me put on my cheap glasses. I got some nice glasses. I just went over to Cohen's Optical. I should be getting some new glasses this week, and I found my old glasses, but they're downstairs. So just close with a little bit of Romans about the times we live in. The wrath of God is being revealed. That's what we're seeing right now. Don't blame God and say, what kind of God wouldn't do something? We've sinned way too much to expect the protection of God. Why does it happen to children? I don't have an answer for that. I'll be honest with you. The wrath of God is being revealed from heaven against all the godlessness and wickedness of men who suppress the truth by their wickedness, since what may be known about God is plain to them, because God has made it plain to them. For since the creation of the world, God's invisible qualities, his eternal power and divine nature have been clearly seen, being understood from what has been made, so that men are without excuse. For although in 2022, that's me adding that, they knew God, they neither glorified him as God nor gave thanks to him, but their thinking became futile, and their foolish hearts were darkened. Although they claimed to be wise, they all claim to be wise, don't they? They are fools. They are fools. They exchange the glory of the immortal God for images made to look like mortal man, birds, animals, reptiles. Therefore God gave them over in their sinful desires of their hearts to sexual immorality, for the degrading of their bodies with one another. They exchanged the truth of God for a lie and worshipped and served created things rather than the Creator, who is forever praised. Amen. Now you may not be praising him. There's a scripture that says someday every knee will bend and every tongue will confess that Jesus Christ is Lord, to the glory of God the Father. I don't think that means that everyone's going to be saved, though. I don't think that's how it works. I don't believe in the idea that anyone will be forced into heaven. I think we have to receive the gift of Jesus Christ. I think he is in control. He's piloting the ship. But the Word of God clearly says we're going to nosedive. We're going to nosedive. And Joe Biden is nosediving the plane. And on a network like CNBC, as I say in our CNBC video, they don't even mention the man who's nosediving the plane. And of course, there's all the minions around him, all the minions. So what we need to do is seek God's power and seek his forgiveness. Certainly open our hearts to the reality of who he is, Jesus Christ, the same yesterday, today, and forever. And welcome him into our hearts, and then be in prayer about what he would have us do. The big problem is, if I'm going to talk like Biden, is we like sin and pleasure too. We like it too. We like power. We like money. We like this and that. We like naughtiness. So that's a big problem. That's a big problem. And it's always been this problem. I'm going to do a video next on Mike Winger, who's the video preacher who's very successful, because once again, he is berating people over sexual immorality and saying the churches need to hammer this. Oh, that'll work. That'll work when people are running from churches. You know, we've got a lot of self-appointed, what's the word? They pretend to be holier than they are. They pretend to be holier than they are. My personal email is jackthefairguy@gmail.com. jackthefairguy, F-A-I-R, @gmail.com. Comment here. I don't expect this to get a lot of hits. More than anything, Wally Wombat and those that will see this is kind of just a historical record. And a historical record. Yeah, we've had successful videos here. But if you just want happy talk, if you don't want, I don't have the Broadway or I should say, the movie production, to show pictures and what have you. Maybe I should really apply myself in that area. I got to make sure I follow which way God is leading me, and at least die someday saying I did better than I did for most of my life. That's basically my goal, to be a better person. Am I looking for perfection? No. Because that means I have to give up all my pet sins. I'm just being honest. God help me to want to give up all my pet sins.